So we are already still in order. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Any willing visitors online, thank you for your patience. Good evening per normal. And I'd like to kick off, if we could, just to invite all the board of the members, administration, and community to stand attention facing our flag with the right hand on the heart and repeat the All right. So I think we start with President's report. So I will jump into this. And I know a few things that are coming, so I will be brief. So I did want to just call out a couple things we spoke both tonight in workshop, but also things that have been happening since the last board meeting. Communications work continues and will be an ongoing effort. We're doing this work alongside District 67 and additional coordination with District 65. And the goal is really to bring ourselves as boards into the community more. We are, by nature of our work, typically interacting mostly with parents of children in the system, as one would expect. The efforts around the coffees and the other meetings have been an extended effort to make sure opportunities are available to all in the community. I've been able to be a part of several of these open forums, and so far the feedback and the discussions have been very positive, and I appreciate that. More to come on this front, and this effort will continue. And as I always have said, feel free to email me, the board members. I know they'll hate that, but email any of us, call us with questions. We are here to serve, and we are serving, and we want to make that as open as possible. And again, a special call out to Melissa. Thank you for her and her team and the time. Another item was the bond sale. We'll go into a little bit of this, but this was successfully completed the day after the last board meeting, October 11th. And then it was officially closed, I believe, on November 2nd. If I have a date wrong, I apologize. There is a current RFP on the firms that are would look to manage some of the funds, and that is in the process currently and should be resolved for a board vote at the next meeting. Work continues around the preparations for 2024's summer work and beyond. So we're doing two things. We're finishing work that was part of the $15 million loan on our operations that we're concluding, we hope, this summer, as well as bringing forward referendum work that will begin as soon as possible, but with scope and phases and other things being defined, and work is happening as we speak. Some of this was discussed in workshop. There'll be more of a formal presentation, timeline, phases, overall tracking in the coming months. So please watch out for that as you have questions. But please know that the work and the attention is being paid to do that work. The state report card was also released this last week for LFHS, and we did earn the designation of exemplary once again here within the state. So Matt will speak to a little bit of that. Additionally, the metrics were released I believe it was the 11th or 12th of October as well, following our approval in the public meeting last board meeting. And I would just encourage those that are wanting to understand the portrait, the strategic plan, the metric work we're doing, dig into that information. You have questions on where to find it, I'll be happy to direct you. But I would encourage you, this is giving you a roadmap to the work we've been doing for almost 2 years now, and the work we will continue to do. So it's going to evolve, and it will be going through many gyrations, a lot of observation, a lot of care, and a lot of attention. So that is all in our line of sight, and looking to make both the students' experience, the school, and the community more successful in what we do every day. So with that, thank you. And we are to you or the LFHS updates, sorry. LFHSA updates, please. Thank you.
Hello. We have a visitor today, too. We have our impact spotlight here. But happy November. Happy, very busy November. We've had Halloween. We were all living in a Barbie world. I have the picture up there. It was a lot of fun. I haven't seen the movie, but it was pretty interesting to see all the different characters. We had a visit from Congressman Brad Schneider, there on the left you see. We have a really beautiful campus, or we did up until a couple of days ago. Most of the leaves have fallen at this time. A beautiful community that we call home. And we're deep into all the things that the school year brings. I think that I said at one board meeting a couple of months ago It's been fun, and it's been a little bit typical. If you remember, in the absolutely best return to school, post-2020, different worlds kind of way, and I've lived to regret that statement a few times. But as I begin my report, I do want to say that the very colorful leaves that fall of the fall are mirrored by the many colors of the work that we do in a typical school year. We're so glad that we get to do that at Lake Forest High School. All right. All right, celebrations are aplenty, and here are just a few. We clapped out to states our girls cross country, boys golf, field hockey, 3rd year in a row to states, and girls tennis, 3rd year in a row. We also just ended very successful seasons for all of our fall sports and all of our student athletes. We're already rolling into winter sports. We have some scrimmages lined up this week. Over the past 2 weeks, our music programs were on full display, and they did so beautifully. If you did not get an opportunity to see the performance of One Voice, we linked it in the Fan Scout. It was absolutely beautiful. Please do. It was moving. The audience was also singing along with the students. We've successfully ended first quarter, although I'm not sure every single student thinks it was a successful end. We did end making sure that our systems of support were fully in place, getting better and better. Just this year, we actually added one element to it. We added weekly progress reports for students who are struggling, and then requiring that they attend Resource Center to get some extra support. The data from this was really astonishing in first quarter, and I'm really pleased to share that we actually reduced the number of students who were not finding success in our classrooms to less than 1/3 of the students at this time last year. So a number of students able to find support with our new systems of support. Bravo to Mr. David Hain and Dr. Ryan Abrams, who have worked tirelessly to make sure that we are ever improving in our processes. I also wanted to give a bit more information about Career Connections, which came out last week in the Fan Scout as well. And then I sent it out, my Happy Monday Scouts email to the students. Their Career Connections program has been a project here for several years, for many years, and it just keeps getting better. I'm going to talk about Strategic Goal 1A in just a moment, just a little bit, but this is a good time to remind our community that we define success as much more than that 11th grade SAT. Our definition includes passion, it includes purpose, and then helping them find the pathway that will help them to achieve their dreams. And this continued evolution of our Career Connections program is a very good example. This year's student survey opens their minds and their hearts to the career pathways that are designated by the Illinois State Board of Education. And we are hoping that we can find guest speakers who can support the types of professionals our students want to see. So bravo to the Career Connections team. And finally, I have sent a link out to our annual Good Gobbles survey. I ask that the community rally behind giving our thanks and appreciation to our phenomenal faculty and staff, without whom I would not be sitting here and able to talk about all of these wonderful celebrations. So on the horizon and in review, we've had a very successful parent-teacher conference day. Again, this year, we hosted a little over 5,200 virtual conferences on October 19th. But we only saw about 63% of our parents participating. So we would love to continue to grow this opportunity over future years. As a reminder, we've remained virtual with our conferences to be respectful of time, and that we're also available as possible to our parents' very demanding schedules. A couple of other important events. You're about to hear from our American Legion. They're going to talk about Veterans Day and the partnership for Veterans Day. It's tremendous. I've personally always lived, as you guys know, in a very military-connected community, whether that be the start of my career where I was right outside the home of the 101st Airborne Division, Air Assault, or my husband's next assignment at Fort Stewart's 3rd Infantry Division, Rock of the Marne, even at various assignments in the D.C. area. The world of national defense, it's near and dear to me, and it's a world that I've always lived in and I've always worked in. And I feel so proud to have moved to Lake Forest, into a community that actually takes the time on this day, November 10th, November 11th typically, with the American Legion to show our support and mostly to show our gratitude. We have beautiful student poetry. We have artwork that was submitted for this annual contest. I'm just looking forward to a tremendous program again from the American Legion and from our students. So please join me in thanking a veteran, not only this Friday, not only this Saturday, but every single day. Last month, the board approved metrics for our strategic plan, and I am grateful that the community is looking at each part carefully, as it really is truly representative of a lot of work and a lot of stakeholder input. We've heard loudly and clearly that this community's legacy is deeply rooted in academic excellence, and also that we believe that that looks differently for different students. And I really believe that Goal 1A in our strategic plan addresses the board's commitment to a metric that embodies that embodies it looking different. You're going to hear more and more about the college and career pathways over the years, our Distinguished Scholar, and that's an Illinois standard for Distinguished Scholar, and also what graduating with a post-secondary plan for success will look like at LFHS. We're excited for a future and so appreciative of our board's commitment to our students and our community. The career pathways, Distinguished Scholar, and planning for post-secondary success are all items that are really a great segue into an overview, a quick overview of our school report card. I do plan to go into more depth next month in the December meeting, but I wanted to provide a few comments now. First and foremost, I am really, really proud of Lake Forest High School. I'm proud that we maintained an exemplary status, and we are among a very small group of high schools in the state who were able to do so. And while I celebrate, I also know that the three big prongs of our state report card have room for growth. And as I stated last year, we are growing our work, and we are growing in our commitment. But it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in 6 months. We're growing in a balancing act to avoid becoming the dreaded test prep school while continuing to build out our curriculum as we did last summer, create opportunities for students to remediate college readiness skills as we have this year, and yes, even more fully align aspects of our work, aspects of our curriculum to those college readiness skills, even to the scholastic assessment test, because we do fully recognize that there is value in that 11th grade SAT score, especially with regards to the nationally normed College Board benchmarks. That said, we need further discussion and dialogue around our chronic absenteeism. Every board meeting I'm going to say attendance matters. You're never going to see me steer away from that. It's on the rise, and I know that Dr. Montgomery released that data. The excused absences do count, no matter how much we're asked for them not to count. And we have to find a better way to encourage our students to communicate in the climate, or to participate in the climate survey. And as a matter of fact, some of our strategic metrics, newly approved, will absolutely help us to do so, as our goals will be measured by the CSCI data. And then finally, I wanted to end on a really high note and celebrate one of the many trips and life experiences our students get to have at Lake Forest High School. If you haven't heard about it, it's the outdoor educational field trip to Devil's Lake, led by Ray Werner. This trip is a few days of roughing it. I don't rough it, I glamp. But these students are roughing it. They're asking me to go, and I'm like, I don't know, I usually glamp, I don't camp. And I recently received a thank you, a beautiful email from a student who wrote lines to me like, these 3 days were a time of self-discovery, forming bonds, powering through my fears, witnessing, she actually said, witnessing the most stunning golden hour of my life. The student closes her email to me with, there is no doubt that my life was transformed, and I am incredibly grateful for it. So here is to always remaining incredibly grateful for the many opportunities, experiences, and the joys our students find and embrace in our learning experiences. So with that, that's the end of my report. But I do have the pleasure of...
Hold on one second.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Straubacher has his hand up. I want to make sure he has an opportunity to ask a question.
Yeah, thank you. So, Aaron, Dr. Lerner, thank you very much for your report. Just one question, because that has always puzzled me as a physician. Why do we continue to count excuse absences? Can't say the word, I'm sorry. Particularly for medical reasons, because if COVID taught us one thing, is that we certainly don't want anybody in the school who is highly infectious. So what's the balance there to strike? If you could allude that a little bit, because I don't think we want to force children to go to school when in the name of having attendance, rather than them not contaminating others and being healthy.
Thank you. We certainly do not want students attend school who are sick, absolutely. Honestly, the attendance rules for the state of Illinois are their Illinois' attendance rules. So we don't get around that for chronic absenteeism. They define what that means. We did have a short grace period where they were removing COVID-related absences, but I believe even that grace period has expired, so now it's all absences. And it's just really about, when it comes to student learning and quality student learning, whether any time you're absent, you're not able to engage with the teacher as fully as you could be if you were present, and that's part of how schools are measured. Are your students attending and able to fully engage with their teachers? So, again, we don't set those rules; those are set by Illinois.
Any other
No,
questions? From the
to be honest, not a very satisfying answer, but I have to take it. Maybe I can take it offline. So because I'm still struggling with that concept. So thank you.
Yeah, and Dr. Schabacher, with the state, it's chronic absenteeism, which is missing 10% or more of the school days, meaning 18 days. So somebody is chronically absent if they have missed 18 or more days of school. That's a lot of days. So it's not, if you're sick, you miss 2 or 3 days or 5 days or 10 days. This is 18 days, and we have a lot of students in Lake Forest that miss more than 18 days a year.
Sorry, is that consecutive days or is that compounded?
It's not consecutive days, no. It's 18 total days would be a chronically absent student.
There's 176 school days, so 17.6 days. They would have to be absent, greater than 17.6 days to be considered chronically absent. I propose we continue the conversation, you and Aaron and me afterwards, if that's okay.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, now on to our Impact Spotlight. This is the second one of the year, and as you recall, we're inviting in different parent and community organizations who are greatly influencing our Scouts. And I would be remiss if in the month of November we did not choose the American Legion, as we do have this wonderful program in partnership with them. And today we have the Post Commander, Jim Holmes, who is accompanied by Mr. Tom Marks. So with that, take it away, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Jim's here to make sure I don't misspeak. I'm old news. I'm a past commander. Before I begin with my remarks, how many people have seen the monument? Almost everybody. For those of you who haven't seen it, okay, we got everybody. Thank you very much. It was 2 years and a lot of fun to do, and I'm glad it's done. So the American Legion started in 1919. I've only been involved for about 25 years, but we've been providing scholarships generally between $15,000 and $20,000 a year for graduating seniors. We're glad to be able to do that. The money really comes from Lake Forest Day, and we're glad to do that too. And we're really appreciative of the Honor Society students pitching in the old days, there was a lot more construction. Now it's mostly serving the hamburgers, the hot dogs, and all the rest of that. But we think it makes a positive contribution for the city in general, and particularly for the kids that are involved with it. So we love doing the scholarships. We've been doing Boys State and Girls State for a very long time. We send kids, and usually it's 6 to 8 boys and 3 or 4 girls. They get a chance to do mock government downstate. If any of you have talked to those kids after they've come back from the experience, I think it's been very, very positive for a great number of young people. Confidence booster, understanding of how government works, and all the rest of that. We make an annual contribution to Croya, and we also make available the bandstand for them to perform during Lake Forest Day. We make an annual contribution to Applause, and we greatly appreciate Janine Kessler and the band, who supports us for a number of events during the year, Memorial Day, Labor Day, and most recently at the dedication of the new monument. So that's been a great thing. We do scouting, and we've been supporting scouting in this town for a very long time. Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. Our building is used for many events and things that involve scouting. Melissa over there's going, yeah, my guys went. So we're proud to continue to do that. Veterans Day coming up. So this morning I was at Everett School at 8:30, and on Thursday we'll be at Cherokee, and then Friday at Lake Forest High School. So we keep pretty busy doing some of those things, and I think it's important that we're visible in the community. Young people need to understand that freedom is not free, and we are here to talk to them and help answer their questions whenever they might have any. And I think a lot of kids like talking to Grandpa and say, you know, what did you do? Where have you been? And sometimes it's a good learning experience for them. The high school kids have pretty much taken over doing the Veterans Day celebration. We'll be there to smile and, you know, put the flag down, but they've really taken the leadership, and I think that's as it should be. I think the kids pay more attention to other kids talking about what's going on more than the old fogies, so I think it's a good thing. I've put something in front of Wes and Aaron. I folded it in half, a piece of paper, a thought-provoking article. I didn't want to pass it out ahead of time because I know you might be inclined to look at that and I'd lose you. But I'd like you to just take a chance to read that after this meeting is all over. Our culture is interesting. Our schools have a massive impact on our culture. And as we look at the challenges that America faces, it's really important that our next generation is prepared to meet whatever comes our way. And so this talks about that a little bit. I thank you for your time. Does anybody have a question of me before am I okay, Jim? I'm all right? Okay. So thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for being here in your service, and your colleagues as well. So it's much appreciated. I think we want to do a small picture, if that would be okay. All right. Again, thank you, gentlemen. Move on to, thank you, Dr. Leonhardt. And let's move on to Dr. Montgomery and the superintendent's report, please.
Thank you, kind sir. Since the report card was one of my topics, but it was talked so beautifully about with both John and Aaron, I'm going to skip through that and just know that while we have a great deal to celebrate, we also have a great deal of work to do. And we are not resting on our laurels, and we are continuing to, albeit at the 99th percentile, striving for excellence, and we are in a continual state of improvement at evidence of the portrait, the strategic plan, and the metrics. So we are not resting or settling at any point. So I'm going to skip to the bond sale, and that was just after last month's board meeting. And what I want to highlight is we had a tremendous amount of interest in the sale, which is exciting for us because the more interest, the better for the rates. And we had 11 interested investors. The winning bidder was Bank of America Securities. And I will tell you that our original promise to the taxpayer was 5.78%. Tremendously excited that it came in at 4.35%. What that means in terms of impact on a fair market value. So $1 million house, we promised $974 as the estimate of the tax impact, and it came in at $104 less at $870 per year. Yes, it is still more taxes, but we are exceptionally excited about where we landed from where the promise was, and we always would want to be at or below, and I'm happy to report that we were. As I move into the next topic, I wanted to touch on a new idea that we have this year, which is around Let's Talk. Some of you may remember that during the pandemic years 2 of the pandemic, we started this new series where we took hot topic issues and brought people together and had a Let's Talk series, or Let's Talk session. This year, we're starting a Let's Talk series around one topic, and the topic is around artificial intelligence. I'm really excited about this. Well, the first one is going to be December 4th, and what we are looking at is we're going to have one night focused on how artificial intelligence is impacting the K-12 arena, one night on how it's impacting college and universities, and have hopefully representatives from Lake Forest College, if not the president, with us. Jill is very excited about this, and we've had wonderful conversations. And then one night on how AI is impacting industry, from local professionals who are community members, and talk through that. And then we will, I'm also going to take a pause. There's also going to be an option to take an online course with us during the series. So if you sign up for the series, Jordan is helping with this, that we are going to offer an online AI course that you will learn along the journey throughout the school years, because the last session on March 7th will be Now What, So What? So we've had this robust conversation over the better part of 6 months, and we want to know with our community how we think we should use AI as we are moving forward. And I think anybody you're all experiencing AI whether you know it or not, but it is impacting, I think, the world in a way such as the World Wide Web did. That is, or the introduction of the iPhone. So having this conversation that's timely and having it with our community members is something that I think will be really cool, and it will be something that'll elevate the conversation with our community. The next topic, and second to last, I'm trying to move quickly to be mindful of time, is celebrating the tremendous amount of generosity with the Grateful Market. We had 4,000 pounds of fresh produce and non-perishable food and dry goods. And I will tell you that I want to shout out, because Quest Foods and Gordon Food Service shouldn't be ignored, because their involvement was paramount in this, and we are so grateful for their partnership, as well as the countless volunteers across 115, 67, and 65. So thank you, and know that that impact is great in communities that we continue to support year after year. I will finish with gratitude for the people that are on either side of me today, and acknowledge that you get one day. It's kind of like, in addition to your birthday, you get another day, which is School Board Members Day, which is November 15th. It's actually my mother's birthday, so it's a special day for me. And Jenny's dad, we share that in common. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate what you do day in and day out, and the hours that you give in service to your community. There are stories across this country of turmoil at the Board of Education tables as local school boards continue to be the epicenter of politics in the local, the most purest form of politics. And they have become war zones. And if you look at the state of Illinois, 1/3 of all of the superintendents are new this year. In West Virginia, I think half of them are new. And each day you read of leaders coming and going due to incongruencies with the district leader and the school boards, and usually both are at fault. It's like a marriage falling apart. Everybody owns usually a little bit of the pie. So your dedication to this district and the partnership that we have is something that I truly value, and it gives me hope that I can stay in the role of superintendent. This is my 11th year as superintendent, and I have a great deal of years left. And having you by my side means the world to me, because we will continue to strive for excellence in a state of continual improvement, and thank you for everything you do to make that possible. That concludes my superintendent's report, Mr. Noble.
Thank you, Dr. Montgomery. We are, and I guess I'll not comment, that'd be bad. But I appreciate all the kind words, thank you. Public participation. So we'll now hear from public comment. And this is kind of, I'll give guidelines. We have a ton of people here, so I will be quick with this, but basically, just in the fairness of opportunity, we usually have 2 opportunities to do this. So as long as this stuff is close to what is actually happening tonight, I would encourage whoever's here, if they would wish to speak, can. If it's super far afield, I would ask that there'll be a second opportunity for public participation after we can conclude the action items. So after being recognized, if there's interested speakers, just please understand there's a maximum of 3 minutes of time. I would encourage you, if you have longer than that, just to share that material with the board members and our secretary. So anyway, I think we're good. If there's anybody that would like to speak, if they would like to go ahead and step up now.
Good evening. I'm Laura Adams, a mom of 4, including 2 adopted internationally, and the founder of FactsForSafeFamilies.com, working on behalf of adoptive and foster families. November is National Adoption Month, and adopted and foster parents are on the front lines of the war on trauma and mental health. It is not uncommon to have adopted and foster children exhibiting baffling behaviors and confusing emotions. While these may seem unusual to others, they are completely normal for a child who's experienced great grief and loss. Even children placed in loving homes with loving parents will have complex academic and emotional struggles. These are the facts. Another fact, the National Children's Bureau says no one knows the child as well as the adoptive parent, and for our children to heal, the school must support the parent-child bond. Schools must have empathy, collaboration, and trust. I personally know the emotional and developmental toll that can be put on a child and a family when these do not exist. And I have experienced the benefits that when they do exist after we moved our child out of this home district to attend another school. And nothing makes me sadder when I see the academic success and the report card, truly. Dr. Cates' report was a hopeful sign that there would be change in policies and procedures in the LFHS Student Support Department. Yet it's been 2 months, and parents have not received any communication. Where is the proof of change? Lake Forest High School has the highest rate of mandated reporter calls to DCFS on parents on the North Shore for the last 7 years. 90 to 95% are unfounded. I admire Dr. Cates, but his guidance on mandated reporter calls is oversimplified and offers no checks on this immense power. It does not answer why our school places to DCFS 2 to 16 times more calls than other school districts. Lake Forest has none of the top factors associated with a high number of calls. So why are Lake Forest school parents targeted as abusive at a higher rate than New Trier, Libertyville, Stevenson, or Hinsdale? What makes us so different from our neighbors? Perhaps we are not different, but perhaps our system lacks oversight and process. More facts. These are not just calls. A serious judgment has been made by the school, and it is traumatic for the entire family, including the child. I know this heartbreak as well. According to the Casey Family Foundation and ProPublica, mandated reporter calls can be misused. A high rate of unfounded calls indicates a bias against parents and parent policing. I ask this board to show us the proof of change in the school support department. 1 year might be easily explained, but 7 years points to training problems, bias, and a culture problem. Show us that the culture has changed for the safety and health of our children and families. The Casey Family Foundation says, hope is an action word. Adopted and foster families are full of hope. They are raising medically complex children against almost impossible odds. This school has something broken, and it's not about the parents. We want hope. Please take action. Show us the proof of change and show us the facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, John. My name is Don Adams, dad of 4 incredible daughters, including 2 adopted internationally. And it is National Adoption Month, along with apparently Board Month, but more importantly, National Adoption Month. And without my wife's love, courage, passion, dedication, our family would not know the joy of adoption. And nor would our family have gone on the greatest journey we've ever been on. So is why I wanted to bring up Dr. Cates' executive summary with the board tonight as well. Trust takes years to build and only seconds to destroy. Dr. Cates' report is too much praise on the school and not enough focus on the issues at hand. I think we've all been in business and in education circles long enough to know culture is not changed by announcing it. As the legendary business consultant Peter Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. The credentials of your mental health care staff have nothing to do with their personality, their philosophy, or approach. Children's mental health is complex and needs to be addressed sensitively. And how can we know that this school that has been a statistical outlier for years in making DCF calls on parents and has a reputation for excluding parents has now suddenly changed its culture? Dr. Leonard mentioned at last month's meeting that school social workers can only meet twice now with kids before parent notification, and I think that is very important. But what happens after that? What steps are being taken to foster trust with parents? And what further training or changes are you making? So I asked the board, how are they holding the administration accountable to creating and changing the culture? Research shows that 85% of positive outcomes are attributed to the relationship between the social worker, the parents, and the child. And in the case of adopted and foster children, even more so. Years of attachment work can be rolled back if a social worker is not supportive of the parent-child relationship. Our children's mental health care should not be based on the luck of a random assignment by a last name. Mental health care, as you've talked over and over, care for our children is too important not to get it right in the school. Dr. Cates' report, paid for by this administration, diminishes the extent and harm done to our children and the families by this school. And I quote Dr. Cates when he said that the immediate focus for the school should be communication with parents. And where is that immediacy? As I said, trust takes years to build and only seconds to destroy. And until the culture changes, parents, especially adoptive parents, are not safe from DCFS calls at this school. Kids don't need protection from their parents, they need protection by their parents. This board needs to give concrete evidence that that trust-building process has begun. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing none other, we'll move on to liaison reports. So first up, True North Educational Cooperative 804, John Venson, please. Dr. Venson, sorry.
John's good. Thank you, John. Thanks to Dr. Schneider's thoroughness, I don't need to add anything to the report that's been offered. But I would like to make one additional comment, and that is that True North is currently entering negotiations with their teachers' union. They are well aware, of course, of where other districts in the North Shore have landed, either in their negotiations or are negotiating. And add to that the challenge that True North has that all of their teachers need to have training in special education. That's an additional bar that the teachers have to get over and that they have to consider. So I am hopeful that we will be able to get over those obstacles and get to a point where they will land and where they'll be comfortable having, and the teachers will be happy. That may also have an impact on the charges that they charge back to members of the True North community. We'll have to see how that falls out when we get to the end of negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you, John. The other liaison reports we are covering, or we will, actually, we're tabling. I don't we have it. Do we have any others? Nope, okay. And I think our committee meetings are happening later this month and into December. So those will all come back in December for our board meeting at that time. So with that, can we please move on to the action items? So action item number 1, approval of recommendation for termination of a substitute teacher. So I'd like to now have the board consider a vote on the recommendation of the termination. Am I reading the name? May I have a motion for the approval of recommendation for the termination of the substitute teacher?
So moved.
Sorry. Yep, so may I have a motion for the board to now consider and vote on the recommendation for termination of Ryan Eleveld as discussed in the board's closed session meeting? May I have a motion to approve the recommendation for termination, please?
So moved. Second.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Vinson?
Aye.
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Dr. Schabacher?
Aye.
Ms. Zinzer?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 2, may I have a motion for the board to consider the vote and recommendation that have notice to remedy be adopted and a 5-day unpaid suspension issued regarding tenured teacher Nicole Tentillo as discussed in the board's closed session meeting? May I have a motion to approve this notice to remedy and issue 5-day unpaid suspension, please?
So moved.
Second.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Zinzer?
Aye.
Dr. Vinson?
Aye.
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Dr. Schabacher?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 3, may I have a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing commencement of social media litigation, please?
So moved.
Second.
May I have, are we going to, is there a point to share this, what this actually is, Matt?
Sally, do you want to talk a little bit about this from your perspective?
I had a bunch of questions about this. So I had the opportunity to be briefed by our counsel at the Frantic Law Firm, Jennifer Smith, and her partner, R.S., who I will pronounce wrong, Dalmian. I don't want to disclose anything that was privileged that they shared with us, but this is, in effect, our district filing litigation against the major social media providers, seeking damages and also non-damages remedies around changes in business practices related to targeting minors in social media in ways that are believed or known to be damaging to their social and emotional wellness. After spending the time reading the materials and talking to our council and also looking at the number of our peer districts who have engaged in similar litigation, came to the point where I personally believe it is a good decision for our district to pursue. So I'll be voting in favor of it.
All right, thank you, Sally. Any other comments? All right, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Noble,
Aye.
Dr. Schabacher,
Aye.
Ms. Zenzer,
Aye.
Mr. Burns, Dr. Vinson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 4, may I have a motion to adopt the tentative tax levy and hearing date, please?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second?
Do we want to mention briefly just what this is? I think it's a yearly activity, and so tends to basically set the, again, minimum levy for us right now to do, and we will consider this over the next month or two, actually, before it becomes final. But Jen, if you could give the kind of the dates and timeline to what we're doing.
Sure, you are correct. This is the annual adoption of the tax levy. So this was reviewed initially in Finance and Ops at our last meeting. This is the tentative tax levy tonight, which sets a hearing date, which is the board's next board meeting, which I think is December 7th. We're going to go 7th? Anyways, at the next board, just prior to the start of the regular meeting, will be a actual tax levy hearing, in which point later in that same evening, it is the 5th, according to
It is the 5th.
December 5th. We will have the tentative or the final tax levy hearing preceding that meeting, and the board will place its vote later that same evening. This would impact the tax rolls for the next following year for June and September's collection. We will also, though, as part of this, place notice into if those of you that still read them, a newspaper in general circulation in our public, and it's available for review.
Great, thank you for that. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Noble,
Aye.
Mr. Burns,
Aye.
Mr. Weinbrenner,
Aye.
Dr. Vinson,
Aye.
Ms. Davis,
Aye.
Dr. Schabacher,
Aye.
Ms. Zenzer.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thanks. We have two, item 5 and 6, that'll come together, so we'll talk on the first one around those items as they're coming up for the referendum. So first, may I have a motion for item number 5 to approve the Perkins and Will Architectural Services proposal for referendum phase 1, please?
So moved.
Second?
If we could just briefly touch on this and what we're beginning into within the referendum and phase work, please.
Happy to cover this. So this is phase 1. Phase 1 is considered our 2025 through 2026. It's a 2-year construction period. We are already pretty knee-deep, if not even a little bit deeper on that, in rolling out not only the identified projects, but there's been multiple meetings with appropriate stakeholders within the building, working with Erin and her team as we continue down the design process. These are the projects that were previously identified through our facility master plan. And for more information, you will see that rolled out onto our website, specifically what projects. But this is the very beginning part of phase 1. I'm going to go ahead and cover the second one if you're okay with that. But the second item on the board's agenda related to the referendum construction tonight is an amendment of the enabling phase. Our goal throughout this process has been to expedite as many projects as we can. One, we want the students there to experience as many of those benefits as we can feasibly make happen. And also, two, as we conclude these projects earlier in our overall window of 4 years, we obviously will save on possibilities related to escalation. So where feasible, we're looking at what makes sense. The board originally approved a Perkins and Will proposal, I think in May or June, with approximately $3 million in projects identified. We were able, through meetings with Erin and her team, and what access to the building can we have and when, and what also made sense. We added some scope to that. We're looking at $6 million. Those projects are ongoing daily right now in the design development of our bid specs. Those will go out shortly. The board will hopefully approve those projects in March, and construction on that enabling phase will start as soon as school's out.
Great, thank you. And I really applaud your team in the effort to kind of bring that as fast forward as possible, as well as being able for us to utilize the funds in the most efficient and kind of risk removed way, as well as being able to secure the timeline in a way that effectively, hopefully, removes some of the supply chain, some of the breakups of the projects that, again, should be more efficient and cost efficient for the community and the school. So thank you for all that. May I have a roll call vote, please, for item number 5?
Dr. Schabacher,
Aye.
Mr. Weinbrenner,
Aye.
Dr. Benson?
Aye.
Ms. Zenzer?
Aye.
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Ms. Davis? Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 6, may I have a motion to approve the Perkins and Will amended architectural services proposal for 2024 enabling project, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Benson?
Aye.
Dr. Schabacher?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Ms. Zenzer?
Aye.
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, so we are moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be removed from a board perspective? All right, hearing none. I'm new at this, so can I just say 1 through 12? All right, so beautiful. So they're all listed for everybody's fun. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items, including item 1 through 12, please?
So moved.
Second.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Dr. Benson?
Aye.
Ms. Zenzer?
Aye.
Dr. Schabacher?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. FOIA requests, Stephanie Victor, 3 of 3 complete. Pete Chanson's 14 of 15 complete. Michael Roast, Allium, 1 of 1 complete. Ginger Deli, 3 of 3 complete. Civic FOIA, 2 of 2 complete. Joanna Marshall, a Civic FOIA is 2 of 2 in progress. And Michael Roast, Allium was in progress, my apologies. Joanna Marshall, 1 of 1 in progress. And then here, moving on to public participation, this is the last chance for this. So at this point, anybody that would like to speak for a second opportunity for the public, the board would be willing to listen if there's anybody there that wishes to make comment. All right. Seeing none, pardon me. There are a few announcements. So Monday, November 13th, there'll be the Finance and Operations Committee meeting at West Campus, 7:30 a.m. Tuesday, November 14th, Education Committee, 7:30 a.m. over at the LFHS East Campus, room 109. Wednesday, November 22nd through Thursday, November 24th, Thanksgiving break. And then Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 will be the Board Education next meeting at 7 p.m. here in the Lake Forest High School West Room. So with all of that, may I have a motion to adjourn the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board meeting for November 7th, 2023?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
All right, may I have a roll call, a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, sir.